Yes, welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, where we're joined for episode number 16 today, for round number 16 for the USA Grand Prix. Now, it's always been a circuit that I haven't really enjoyed too much in previous games, but I'm hoping this time out things will be different and we'll actually nail that S section first time in Sector 1, so fingers crossed for that. But if you did miss the previous episode, then be sure to check that one out before you watch this one, as last time out we were in Japan and it's wet, sort of wet conditions into conditions, and it was really tricky, especially in a track like Japan. I mean, these three rounds in the F1 calendar, Singapore, Susuka and then USA, they're all very tricky circuits to nail, especially in the wet. And as you can imagine, things didn't totally go our way. We ended up finishing in 7th place, and as hard as we were pushing in that race, we just couldn't get past the rear end of Alonso, just like Hamilton couldn't in real life at Hungary. Yeah, his rear end is massive. But if we can't do it last race, then we're going to try and do it this race. And my personal goal is to try and beat Fernando Alonso. He's been a thorn in my side throughout this whole season, my arch nemesis, if you could call it that. So unless we finish above him, then it's going to be a failure in my eyes. Now, as you can see on screen right now, we took a whole new column of engine components going into this race, but we didn't end up getting any sort of grid penalty, which is very strange. But yeah, as you can see as well, we also get a change to the regulations. I think I might have already mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, but we get a regulation change to the whole of the aerodynamics and the chassis departments. So they're going to be a nightmare to change, but luckily I've saved up enough R&D points to begin changing most of them. And as we're not at a point where I've got all of the upgrades available to me, we only have to adapt the ones that we've already purchased. So luckily for us, it's not a lot, but at the same time, it's preventing us from upgrading parts and moving forward in this career mode, which is a bit of a struggle this early on. But at the same time, we're second bottom, but with a few more upgrades, we could leapfrog Aston Martin and AlphaTauri to be the 5th best team on the grid. So we're really not far off the pace of the other cars. But at the same time, there is sort of like the top 4 teams being Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari, and then the rest of the field. So there's no really top, midfield and bottom. It's just top and midfield at this point in the career mode. But nevertheless, we go down towards the track for the qualifying session in America, in the US of A. And like I said before, this is a very tricky track to get the hang of, especially this windy S section that we just went through. I mean, I've definitely failed this multiple times in the previous games, and I'll be lucky to get away with it if I don't fail with it today. I'm sure there'll be instances of me going over the curbs in this episode, so I'm glad we've already had the likes of Singapore and Suzuka to train me up and get me ready for this very windy circuit that is the US of A. But now, as we're driving around in Q1, I'm really starting to get a liking to this circuit and getting a nice feel to it. And it's slowly becoming one of my favourite circuits to race around. Maybe it's not so much watch, as I feel it's a bit of a slow circuit, and you get a lot of DRS trains in real life. But in the game, it's a very fun circuit to race around. But to get to the race itself, we've got to overcome qualifying first, and that's proven to be a challenge in itself. I mean, our first lap time, personally I felt was quite good, but our timings showed different. It was way off the mark, and we needed to set a second lap, which we have done. Green sectors in all 3 sectors, and we're up in 16th place. But is that going to be enough to get us round and into Q2? Because that's where we've got to be aiming for, at least in this race. Especially as all the cars, you know, like I was saying before, there's no top or bottom. It's just a midfield battle now, and then the rest of the field. So you've got like your Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and Ferraris. We're nowhere near them, but every other team in this season we should be able to beat and should be able to get the better of. So we should realistically be aiming for like P8, P9. But what's it going to be? It's Q2, baby, for us. We're through into the second round of qualifying. P14 on the grid. I mean, it's not great. It's not where we want to be, like I was just saying before. But it's the next stepping stone in this qualifying session. And hopefully we can make the most of this and get into Q3 if we're lucky. Now, at the end of Q1, I should really point out, we ended up using a second set of soft compound tyres. So right now we're running on a scrub set of softs, and we're about to see where this will place us. It's P7 provisionally, but 1.4 seconds off of Giovinazzi and Tsunoda ahead, and they're two drivers we should really be beating. So we've got to step up the mark here, and we go out for a second lap here in Q2, and we spin it around at the first corner. What have we done? That was such a stupid error by us, and I think we just smacked the back end as well. I think we have, rear wing damage. Not only was that horrendous first lap, we're now going to have to wait and repair this damage, and that's going to cut our session shorter than we would have liked. So we get that done and out of the way. We've got 3.4 minutes left on the clock, so we're going to have to set 2 laps all in one go. I think we're going to have to go out on this second lap, try and make it our best lap if possible, but we do still have another chance after this if all things go tits up. Although I can't see us getting a better lap time in on our second run around, because obviously these tyres will already be completely washed out. The rubber will be worn away from them after an intense lap of driving. So it's now or never, really. We've got to be setting in a better lap time. We're 8 tenths up at the midway point of this lap. We've got to keep hitting these targets, and we have done. 1.4 seconds as we go round the final corner to set our lap time. It's P11. That's so frustrating, and I don't think we'll be able to better that in any way possible. That's no means to give up though, but we are 1/10 down as we exit sector 1 already. We go around this corner, we get a massive wash of oversteer, and I think that's our lap done. That's definitely our lap time ruined. We can't come back from that, and it's P13 in the end of that qualifying session. It's going to be interesting to see who starts this race in pole, especially after Red Bulls 1-2 last time out in Japan. So will it be Hamilton, will it be the Red Bulls, or will it be Bottas with a comeback of the century?
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by winning for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles an hour, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the very long back straight into turn 12. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Perez, Max Verstappen and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Gasly, Fernando Alonso and Yuki Tsunoda, Vettel, Charles, Antonio Giovinazzi and Russell, Raikkonen, Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon, they've taken a grid penalty. Latifi, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher and Felipe Drugovich. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So it's no surprise by now to see our teammates starting in last place on the grid, even behind Mazepin. I mean, that's bad. But anyways, we somehow jump up a place, even though we took a whole new column of engine components out, and we were almost guaranteed to be having a grid drop at the start of this race. But somehow, for some reason, we haven't had any sort of grid drop, and we've actually been bumped up a place. I mean, how crazy is that? Now, in terms of the race strategy, it was really interesting for this race. I was really unsure whether to do a 2-stop or try and go long on the hards. But then I thought, why not try and do a 1-stop on the mediums? And then if things end up getting bad, or if there's a safety car, we could always do the 2-stop anyway. I think if we're able to whisper into those tyres deductively, then we'll be able to do this, go the stretch, go the distance on those tyres. But 5 red lights we go. for the American Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. We get an okay start. Vettel just up ahead, trying to climb up the order and get ahead with those lightning quick reactions. But Russell with the dive bomb down the inside. Sainz and Russell, the commitment shown there by those two drivers. Look how far Russell's gone into the lead. He's up into like 7th or 8th place up there. How on earth has he just managed that? Oh my god, the balls from the young Brit. He's really trying to prove a point here in the US of A, trying to show that he deserves a better top flight seat next season. Maybe trying to fiddle his way into Mercedes good books, but on board with us right now. And shock, we're stuck behind our arch nemesis Alonso once again, almost crashing into the back of him as we get distracted by his huge Alpine arse cheeks there. But Vettel, he's right behind us. You can see him in our rear view mirrors there. He must be so annoyed by himself after those lightning quick reactions at the start of the race to find himself behind us, as we made a great overtake on him through that section of sector 1. But now he's been overtaken by Tsunoda. He's tried to go round the outside of me at that corner there, but we closed the AlphaTauri man off, and we can try and settle into P12 for now. As I haven't got many replay cameras for this episode, I'm going to try and do my best to describe this race as best as I can for you. So we've got Gasly just up ahead. You can see him going around sort of at the front of this pack in, I think, like P5, P6. Russell in behind him. Sainz after both their electric starts at the beginning of this race. And then we got Ricciardo and Alonso just up ahead. But this time out, we're not going to pussyfoot around. We're going to try and get the move on the Spaniard just up ahead as quickly as possible. We have a half-hearted look down the inside of Alonso, and that could have ended in calamity just there. But we just about managed to slow the car down in time, and don't think we get away with no damage on our car at all. So luckily enough, there wasn't any damage to our front wing, and we can continue on in this race. Alonso proven to be a thorn once again. Just we can't get rid of the guy. But this time out, it is dry weather, of course. I'm hoping we'll be able to excel in this weather condition. You know, last time out in Japan, it was wet weather, and the AI just do so much better there. As we saw just behind us, green flags. I think someone must be retiring. Who's it gonna be? We're waiting and waiting, and it's Drugovich, our teammate. You can't catch a break at the minute. We really need to be doing some work on our reliability side of the car, because it's just not good enough. And now we can make the move on Alonso. Here we go, out of nowhere. That was out of the blue, coming up on the inside down that main straight once again, and we managed to get the job done this time out. And it's bye-bye to the Spaniard for now. Alonso doing a very uncharacteristic move. He left the door wide open for our entry there, and we almost lost it on the exit of that corner. And yeah, we were just allowed straight through and up into P11 now, and go chasing after Daniel Ricciardo just up ahead. But we got to be cautious as well. You know, Alonso, he's not backing down easily, especially down this second DRS straight. It's a very popular move to make the overtakes, but I think this time around we just about got the time and the gap to Alonso to keep ahead and not allow that overtake to happen. And in the end, we don't even have to put much of a defense up against. Whoa, holy moly, what the hell just happened? I just entered the rear end of Daniel Ricciardo. Oh my god, how am I still alive right now? How are we still running in this race? Luckily, I do have another replay camera of what just happened, but Jesus Christ, I feel violated right now. Look at that. Oh my god, how did we not damage our car at all? We just ghosted through both drivers. So Carlos Sainz ends up spinning around at turn 12, does a whole 180, and then ends up facing Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren car. And then they both come to a standstill, and I end up ghosting through them. It's just, I don't know, there's something so wrong about that, because I shouldn't be racing right now. I should be in the pits with a front wing change, or even worse. I'm very, very lucky to be racing right now, as Vettel manages to get the jump on us on the restart, and we just seem to have lost all composure right now. I mean, who wouldn't after ghosting through your opponent? We've lost so many positions from that one mistake, and we really need to get back up into that 6th, 7th spot and be beating Alonso. who's just up ahead. We're getting the slipstream of Sebastian Vettel right now to try and get in behind Alonso, looking for the dive bomb on the left hand side, being very tentative on the brake just there, trying to brake as late as we possibly can, and we get past the German driver with relative ease, to be fair. He tried defending as well as he could, but you know, if you leave the door open as wide as he did, then anyone's going to come down the inside of you. And that DRS straight proven to be a nuisance for many drivers once again, because you're just a sitting duck if you don't have DRS off the other car in front. I mean, Vettel did just then, obviously, on Alonso, but now Alonso's pitting. What? Oh my god, that came out of nowhere. We're currently on lap number 9. Russell just up ahead. I think he's into first place. George Russell in a Williams is up into first place with that pit stop for all the drivers in front, really. I mean, I think we've just been caught out with the undercut. I wasn't expecting that. I thought some of the drivers were going to go on for a bit longer in this race. But we have been caught out by Alonso and other drivers alike. And now is the time to decide what we are going to do in the remainder of this race. Are we going to cover them off and pit on this lap? Or are we going to go a bit longer and try something a bit different, something a bit bold maybe? We have to decide on this lap for sure. But Vettel is still there behind us. He's not pitted, notably. And Sebastian Vettel is right up my rear end now. He's going to have a great chance at overtaking me along this DRS straight. We haven't got any DRS off of George Russell. He's too far ahead, the Williams driver. Somehow his Williams car is paying off for him. Vettel goes round the right hand side of us. But can we retake that position? We go back onto the racing line and we crash it. We go too far and we fluff it. We crash into the 50-meter mark, and that's just not what we needed. We fluffed our lines there, got everything muddled up. We tried to go catch back into the slipstream of Sebastian Vettel. We go way too far to the right and we end up going off circuit, and now we're behind the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. So in an attempt to gain back the position we just lost, we now lost out on 2 more positions just then. Not to mention the amount of positions we just lost from that pit stop as well. You know, we would have lost so much time from that little incident just then, and with all the other cars just pitting on the previous lap, that means, you know, they're going to be on their out lap doing an amazing lap on some fresh tyres, I presume. And look at that, Ricciardo's passed us, Tsunoda's passed us. We're down in P16, 17 behind Latifi. So in a split second, we're behind George Russell, the first Williams driver, and now we're behind Nicholas Latifi, who's down in P16. What has just happened? We've gone from like P7 on the grid to P16. 16th! I mean, thankfully we could pass Latifi with ease just then and stroll past the Williams driver. And now we can set our sights onto climbing back up the order, clawing our way back up the grid. And next step is Tsunoda down the second DRS straight once again, going down the dive bomb on the inside. And that's a beautiful little move up into P15. With Ricciardo just up ahead, and look at that, Russell not too far ahead either. So both drivers on the hard compounded tyres, whether they've made the right choice or we've made the right choice, we'll have to wait and see. With Ricciardo trying to have a little sneak peek round the outside of George Russell going into turn 1 there. Didn't quite work out for him just then, and yeah, he's now stuck behind him as we enter through this S section and down now towards turn 11, going around the outside once again, trying to make the move. Russell closes him off and he goes way too slow. We almost crash into the side of Daniel Ricciardo. In fact, I think we actually do. No damage was taken, but we're ahead of the Australian driver. And can we get 2 in 1? Russell going a bit slow down in towards turn 12. We go round the outside, sailing round the outside of the Williams driver, leaving just enough space for him to make the turn in, and we get that move done deliciously. Look, we're now up into P13, and look who's ahead. Fernando Alonso. Oh, that's a familiar sight. Of course it had to be him. It just had to be him. Green flags behind though in sector 1. I wonder what's going on down there. Nonetheless though, if there's anything I can take away from the season, it'll be beating Fernando Alonso, one of the best drivers to ever grace the F1 community, the F1 world in fact. Lance Stroll now out of the session. He's not had a very good race, so it's now down to the lonesome Sebastian Vettel to try and score points for his team. But whether we can put a stop to him is another question, as we're now trying to catch the slipstream of Fernando Alonso from way back down that main straight, going round the outside of Fernando Alonso. He's on the harder, slower compounded tyres. We're on the fresher mediums, and we managed to get the move done with relative ease. I think down to the combat and tyre alone, I think if we're on the hards, we would have struggled a bit then. We may not have even caught him on that second straight. So on to lap 17 now, and we're up into P6. So somehow I think some other drivers must have pitted for their second stop of this race. We're trying to do the one stop in today's race, as Daniel Ricciardo now making the move round the outside. He's got the speed, the overwhelming speed. We block him off. We got the inside line, so we're able to do so, and we shut the door on the Aussie that time round. But he's ferociously fast in that McLaren. You know, we don't have the pace to keep up the McLarens at the time being, so it's going to be a mission and a half to keep him at bay, as it's now a lap number 19. He's still behind us. Bottas as well has climbed up the order. He's ahead of Fernando Alonso. I think Norris is just in the background as well, so Alonso's dropped down out. He's almost out of the points now, down in P10. So it's only a matter of time before these drivers try and make the move on us, make the pounce on us. They must be doing a two-stop in today's race. That's probably why they're so far down in the order. But you got like the likes of myself, Gasly, Vettel and Alonso all trying to do the one-stop around Austin, Texas today, and so far it's paying off for us. You know, we're not losing any positions so far, and I think making that second pit stop is just not needed in this race. You know, the tyres can go the distance. We've shown it with the softs, and now we're showing it with the mediums. These mediums aren't wearing out very fast. And Daniel Ricciardo makes the move down the inside. He brakes way too late, and we make a lovely, beautiful switchback move. Oh my god, the amount of finesse that just oozed from that move. Oh my Jesus, that's probably one of the best moves I've ever made on this game. And that could be the moment that defines our race today. We could have ended up in P7. We could have dropped back further as well after slipping down past Ricciardo, but no, we're staying ahead, staying in P6. We're trying to nail down this position until the end of the race. 7 laps to go. The pressure is on for myself and Gasly. Vettel is stormed away ahead. I think he's 5 seconds ahead now. Green flags behind once again. What's happened again? At the same location, it seems everyone is retiring there. Whether that was just a small crash, big crash, I just don't know. But Ricciardo, he's not too far behind on this second Diora straight. And Tsunoda, oh my god, Tsunoda, thank you so much. We would have been definitely... Oh, and George Russell is out of this Grand Prix. To be fair to them, both drivers been doing a superb job in this race. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the replay cameras for this crash, but I'm so disappointed that I don't, because I'm sure it would have been a monumental crash. And by the looks of things, George Russell and Tsunoda, as you can see from that screenshot of Mazepin's rear end, and from what I could tell from the race incidents as well, screen once you finish the race, they actually collided. So they probably, lost a front tire or something, and yeah, so a race over. But as you can see for us right now on screen, we're managing our tires really well, which I'm surprised at. 28% on the backs, 40 for the rears. That's to be expected, and hopefully that will last us until the end of this race. Let's just hope our tires are warm enough for this restart. Gasly gets a good getaway. Ricciardo also does. We don't really, as Ricciardo is now fighting for his place in P6, trying to make a move around the outside once again, but of course that won't work. He hasn't worked on numerous times for him in this race. Tried it on Russell, tried it myself 3 times now, and that hasn't worked, hasn't paid off for him. I don't know why he keeps trying it. Of course it's not going to work. We defended to the inside every single time, and it's paid off for us. We're staying ahead for now. It's lap 24, and I believe that we can make it to the end of this race in P6. There's 4 more laps to go, and we've got every chance of making it to the end in P6. I think if it wasn't for that safety car, we probably would have gone down the order slightly, behind Ricciardo, behind Bottas especially. Even Norris has actually caught up with Ricciardo, so the second car of McLaren is doing better. So maybe that 2-stop is paying off for McLaren. But will they be able to catch us? Myself and Gasly, Vettel even, he's going a bit slow up ahead. Gasly, we've actually caught up to the Frenchman. I wasn't expecting that. Maybe the lonesome AlphaTauri man, both cars ahead actually are both the only cars running for the team at the moment. But Pierre Gasly, I think he's got a problem with his car. He's going slightly slow. Maybe it's the the hard compounder tyres being less efficient around this track. He's going slow. We make the move down the inside into turn 12 once again. That's our favourite overtaking spot in this entire race, and we're now up into P5. We've done so well to get to this point, all the way down from P12 I think it was, as well as Vettel and Gasly behind. You know, we've all done so well to get this far in this race, and can we last until the end? We've only got one more lap to go. We're on to the final lap of this Grand Prix, still setting green sectors, might I just add as well. You know, these medium tyres are really going the distance, and is a much better race tyres by the looks of it than the hards. As we saw, Gasly, he's fallen down the order in P6 now, and I bet you just up ahead, I bet Perez is also on the mediums, as well as Verstappen is behind Perez, and Hamilton up ahead, as you can see in the top left hand corner. But for us right now, we've only got a handful of turns left in this race, and can we just keep Gasly behind us? Hopefully Gasly will do a good job at keeping Bottas at bay as well. The Mercedes car, so powerful this season, and it's been very hard to stop at times. I think only the Red Bull has been able to do it, but it looks of things, will they be able to do it in this race? Will Perez be able to get ahead of Hamilton up ahead? We won't be able to know because of the replay cameras. But for us, you can see our tyres are screaming out, but we've whispered to them so seductively that they've decided to carry on and troop it on in this race. Lewis Hamilton wins the US Texas Grand Prix, and for us it's looking like it's gonna be P5. One more corner, we're around the final bend, and we've done it across the line. P5 for us, P4 for Vettel, and P6 for Pierre Gasly. What a job, boys. A stellar job by the three horsemen there, the lonesome ones of our team, getting the points when it matters.
That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So surprise, Lewis Hamilton, he does it again. He wins once again from P1, and he finishes P1 on the grid. Both Red Bull drivers, Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen, picking up the second place and the third place. That's twice in a row they've managed to do back-to-back podiums like that. For us though, it is P5, a well-deserved 10 points finish there for us, and crucially we're ahead of Fernando Alonso in this race. He's down in P10. Commiserations for him. You know, he got beat by some better cars at the end of the day, in the form of the Mercedes and the McLaren boys, but he does manage to get a point at the end of the day. And as you can see on screen as well, just to confirm, George Russell and Ocon ended up having a collision. We don't really know what happened, but I'm guessing some sort of front wing damage happened, and you know, a tyre fell off here and there. I'm sure it would have been a spectacular crash, but I forgot to save the replay. We're going to aim to not do this in the future though, so replays from now on, let's hope. For us though, driver standings up to P9, ahead of Carlos Sainz, who had an awful race, I can't lie. He spun round at turn 12, facing the opposite direction. Sebastian Vettel also moves up a place, as well as Sergio Perez up into 4th place, but nonetheless Hamilton's storming away with the lead now, and I'm sure him and Mercedes will be crowned champions come the end of the season, unless anything wild happens. But thank you guys so much once again for watching this video. If you did enjoy this, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you thought of this race in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you later.